Welcome to 100% LCFC. I'm down here with Matt Piper. Matt, great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Well, we're in your shrine here, as you call it. Some good memorabilia here.
It's just this wall. The missus only allows me to have this wall. So.
Just one wall?
Yeah, there's nowhere else in the house that anything's up about Leicester, but just this wall. Sunderland's that side. It's very small.
A little bit of Sunderland, a lot of Leicester.
It's got to be a lot of Leicester, yeah.
Obviously, I mean, most Leicester fans, Matt, know well and truly you are, especially now because you're on Radio Leicester commentating every match, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
But I was explaining to Sam, who's behind the camera here, who's only 16, who you are.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, going down to Filbert Street was just like, we reminisce quite often on 100% LCFC about Filbert Street. But your sort of claim to fame, one of them is you scored the last goal at Filbert Street.
Yeah, well, I think it's the only one, to be honest. I think you've been kind to me there. I only played in 20 or so games. Broke into the team. It's like a whirlwind. Broke into the team. I think I've said it before on the radio and places like that. Peter Taylor actually didn't want me. He wanted me to leave.
Yeah.
Then, luckily for me, he got the sack.
Luckily for Leicester, he got the sack.
Well, exactly. He got the sack, and then Gary Parker took over for one game, the famous game where we got hammered against Leeds. But I did all right on my debut, and Dave Bassett and Mickey Adams were in the stand. And then it went from there, really.
And yeah, you went off finally to play for Sunderland, didn't you? But at Leicester, you scored that goal. It was in front of the Kop as well, wasn't it? Against Spurs on the last game of that season.
Yeah.
Just most fans, that's our dream to do something like that. What's it sort of like to have an experience like that?
Well, at the time, I think Paul Dickoff had scored the first goal. I think Teddy Sheringham had equalised, or they had scored first, or the other way around. And then that ball came over, and anyone that knew me from the youth teams, all my coaches, you get your report at the end of the season, what you're good at, what you're bad at. Mine was always good at dribbling, running fast. Heading was a 0, always. And that ball came over, and I just thought, just chuck yourself at it. And I did, closed my eyes, it hit my head, and luckily flew in the top corner. But obviously, as you get older, that's when you really start to realise how proud I am to score that goal, and how much of an honour. Because you don't think that when you're a young kid. You just think, I scored in the Premier League, yeah, buzzing. But as you get older, that's when you start to realise that it is a real proud moment to score that goal, especially in front of the Kop. And you've got to say, we got relegated probably 2 or 3 games before that game. And the crowd were unbelievable, cheering, singing all match. It's great memories.
Well, I remember it because I was in the Kop then, so I was about 25.
Was you one of the ones that high-fived? I ran into the Kop and high-fived everyone.
So I remember you getting it, and I remember it was been quite an emotional day. But obviously then we moved into what is now the King Power Stadium. You never really got your chance to do much there because... No. I think I've read that you thought that some of the big names like Muzzy Is It and that might get sold when we got relegated, but in the end it was you got snapped up by Sunderland and almost didn't want to move. Is that right?
Yeah, well, 100%. I went up to Sunderland and I told them that I don't want to sign. I met Peter Reid, really nice guy, great guy. Met him in a pub. The chief exec from Sunderland came with him, and they hadn't prepared a contract, so it was me and my dad because I didn't have an agent. And the chief exec wrote a 5-year contract down on a napkin in a pub to do a Premier League deal. But it wasn't because of that I said, no, I just didn't want to leave Leicester. I just got into the team, been here since I was 8 years old. So I said, listen, great to meet you, really like you, but I want to stay at Leicester. So that was it. I left, and then when I got back, the club were like, nah.
Well, they're like, what are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, you've got to leave. And Mickey Adams, I mean, he was a spokesperson to me from the club. I know it wasn't Mickey. He wanted to keep me, but he said, the powers that be, we're on the edge of administration. You've got to go. And then they even accepted £1 million less offer from Gordon Strachan at Southampton. So the next day I had to go and see Gordon Strachan. Turned him down as well, but I liked Peter Reid more than Gordon Strachan. I seemed to get on better with him. So I got back, tried to hold out for a week or 2, but then people were starting to lose their jobs and things like that. And this was a little bit unfortunate, I've got to say, a bit of sour grapes people at the club were saying people are starting to lose the job because you won't go. I was only a 19-year-old kid, so I was like, you look back now as you're older and you think that's poor from
Bit of
people
pressure.
saying that. Yeah, it's not. I know people were losing the jobs, but they put it all on me. It felt like so in the end I decided to go. And
So
I
you
showed
took one for
Sunderland.
the team then, literally.
Yeah, I'm not patting myself on the back. Oh, I'm the saviour of the club. It's not that.
But it was tough times back then for Leicester.
It was.
It was all that period where it was getting a real mess. So.
Yeah, and I think a few other people came out. Gary Lineker, Emil Hesker. They tried to help the club with some financial support, and it was a sad time because I did not want to leave, but in the end, I think it worked out, well for the club that I moved on.
Yeah, and then sadly for you, you weren't long at Sunderland, and you had that nasty injury. Yeah,
literally 30. I think I played the first 13 games at Sunderland, and I was actually flying. I was doing really well, and then just took an injury against Blackburn, and that was more or less it. I think I stayed there for 5 years, but I think I only probably played 35 games in 5 years. So, and it was just one knee injury after the other. And in the end, I think I've had 17 or 18 knee operations.
Yeah.
So that's what finished the career.
But now, you're back on Radio Leicester.
Yeah.
You're commentating home and away on all the matches. Let's get on to Saturday's match, Liverpool. You looking forward to that? The big club coming to town, 9 points out of 9, Mo Salah.
Mane's a big threat. I mean, their forward line, I love all their forward line. I think they're probably my most exciting team to watch, especially going forward in the Premier League. But we've not started too bad. I like Maddison. I think this is a big season for Damari Gray. I think he started well. It's a shame we're missing Vardy, because in that Liverpool game he would be a big threat to them. But they've sort of tidied themselves up at the back, Liverpool, and they're unbelievable going forward. So there's no doubt it's going to be a real tough game. But I think the manager, Puel, has started. You're starting to see his philosophy now coming through from what I've seen. But in this game, I think he changes it for each game. He's changing his personnel, he changes his tactics, and I think he'll sit a little bit deeper and try and use the counter-attack. And I truly believe that he's going to play Damari Gray up front. That's just what I think.
I think like a striker.
I think so. I'm pretty positive that he's really adamant that he can turn him into a striker, because he's got all the attributes to be a good striker. He's got a great touch, he's got great feet, his movement's good, and he's quick, really quick, and he could play on the shoulder a little bit like Vardy does. Personally, I like him wide, but I'm sure he's got the kind of mentality Arsene Wenger had when he went to Arsenal and he changed Henry from a winger to a striker. I really think he's thinking that with Damari. And Iheanacho at the weekend against Southampton.
Yeah. We all want him to do well.
Yeah, I love Iheanacho. And when he was at Man City, he's sort of that guy that worked on knockdowns, and he's got quick feet, and he has got that sharpness in the box. But when he's the lone striker up front on his own, I think it's just a little bit too much for him, and he's not quite got that electric pace to get him away from people. So, listen, I like Iheanacho, but I do think he'll go with Damari Gray the weekend. Yeah, well, I think they talked about my age group as like kind of a golden year, because normally you only get one through every 2-3 years. So the fact that so many have come together, I mean, you've got Leighton and Dooku. He's a little bit younger than them guys, but super talented footballer. Josh Knight, Darnell Johnson, Ben Chilwell, Hamza Chowdhury, Callum Elba. There's so many young lads, and it has definitely been spoken about for years. I used to coach there probably 7 or 8 years ago now, when some of these boys were really young. and the powers that be there were saying that this is a golden age group, and it's starting to come to fruition now.
And talking of the youth, Matt, you're running your own academy now, aren't you? Yeah. Second year into that. Tell us a bit about how that started and, you know, what's going on there.
Yeah, well, I run that actually with Darnell Johnson's dad.
Okay.
So anytime you hear me bigging up Darnell Johnson on the radio...
We know why, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, it's not just because I know his dad, it's because he is a good footballer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we sort of... Owen Johnson, his name is, and he's Emil Heskey's best friend, actually. And so the connection is there because I used to clean Emil's boots. So that's how I knew Owen. And we were always talking for years that sort of when kids and teenagers get to that crucial age of life, around 16, 17, they're just leaving school. Some of them, I feel, and I've seen it with my peers, they get a little bit lost if they haven't got a direction where they want to go and what they want to do. And especially some of these young inner city boys. So this academy came from that idea to try and help them, give them a bit of guidance. It's not just the football academy. I mean, we concentrate mostly.
Yeah, it's education as well.
Yeah, you can get a BTEC. Yeah, mentoring. That's a big one for us. Life skills. So we try and give them a little more direction at the same time as getting fit and enjoying their football and hopefully progressing them at their football.
Good luck with that. Let's hope some of those break through to Leicester maybe in the next couple of seasons or two. We're going to end up now, Matt. I always have to push people for a score prediction for the next match. Ooh. We always like people to predict the first goal scorer and the correct final score, okay? So Saturday, normally people go for Vardy and 2-0 or something like that. Yeah. It's a tricky one. Who's going to play up front? You're thinking maybe Damari Gray. Yeah. So who's going to be the first goal scorer and what's the final score going to be? It doesn't have to be a Leicester win if you know. No.
I'm pretty confident. The way we've started, I mean, one of the big factors is going to be, in the first 3 games, we've started so slowly.
Yeah.
I think you've seen a Marty at Manchester United. Because of the team starting a little bit lacklustre and on the back foot, you draw the other team onto you. And I'm really looking forward to us this weekend really starting sharp against Liverpool. I think you're going to have to. And to win the game, we're going to have to score first, for me. So I'm going to stick with, I think Damari will play up front. I think he will score first. And I think it will be 2-2. Yeah,
I think a draw's not a bad prediction. I think most fans would probably take a draw. Obviously, we want the win, but take the draw.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're a wonderful football team, and they're flying at the minute. They're going to come to the KP full of confidence. But if we can start early and get on the score sheet early, I think we've got we may go on and win it. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But I'm going to go for 2-2.
I come from the era where Leicester always used to do really well against Liverpool back in the 80s and that. So I've got every faith Leicester will beat Liverpool. Thanks, Matt, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Good luck with all your things. All the fans are loving listening to you on the radio, so keep that up.